The stamina and liberty of pure religion. Welcome to today's explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. If you're tuning in, you're probably around 10 years old, and honestly, you might think you already know everything there is to know about rules. You deal with them every single day, right? At school, at home, literally everywhere in between. But today, we're decoding a classic text that reveals something totally mind-blowing. What if rules are actually a secret superpower? What if they aren't meant to trap you, but to power you up? We're going to explore exactly how that works, and it is going to completely change how you see the rules in your life.
Okay, let's dive into this. Do rules just ruin your fun? I mean, it's completely normal to feel like rules are basically just giant stop signs getting in the way of a good time. In fact, the text we're looking at today points out this exact feeling. It mentions that people often talk in a really regretful way concerning the restraints and rules of religion. We tend to look at the things we aren't allowed to do and think, wow, this is a huge disadvantage. This is just holding me back. We feel like doing whatever we naturally want to do is the only way to grow and be happy. But the text challenges this idea head-on, promising us that the exact opposite is true.
Point number 1, the heavenly protective barrier. That brings us to our very first big secret. God's rules are not actually there to ruin your fun or shove you into a tiny, boring box. Instead, they're a shield. The text describes God's rules as a heavenly barrier. I want you to imagine being inside a giant epic fortress with massive, unbreakable walls. Those walls, they aren't there to keep you locked inside like a prisoner. They are there to keep dangerous things out. When God gives us rules, He's actively building this protective wall around us, ensuring we have a safe space to grow up strong, happy, and fully protected from harm.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive difference in perspective. Usually, we humans view rules as fetters, cords, and things that just narrow our minds and cramp our style. But God sees it entirely differently. He sees a heavenly barrier keeping us safe from enemy ground. And think about that enemy for a second. It's not a bunch of cartoon monsters with horns or claws. Sometimes the danger looks pretty normal, or even sneaky, like wicked-faced humans wearing angel wings and ancient tunics. The threats are real and deceptive, but God's rules draw a clear, safe line in the sand to protect us from those very things that would otherwise unfit us for heaven.
Because we are safely tucked away from that enemy ground, we get to experience something amazing, true liberty. The text actually quotes Psalm 119, verse 45, which says, "And I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts." Now, precepts is just a fancy, ancient word for rules or instructions. Think about it. When you're playing safely behind that fortress wall, you don't have to constantly look over your shoulder. You aren't paralyzed by fear. By choosing to stay within the boundaries God sets, you are actually totally free. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want whenever you want. True freedom is living without fear because you know you are completely safe.
Now you might be wondering, okay, but sometimes doing the right thing is actually really hard. And you know what? That is absolutely true. The text uses an awesome metaphor to explain this. It talks about how God places us under test and trial to separate the dross from the gold. Dross is just the junk, the dirt, and the useless stuff mixed into raw gold. To get rid of it, you have to heat the gold up. God doesn't tie us up with ropes or force us to be good against our will. Instead, He lets us face difficult choices, those are the tests and trials, so that all the bad habits and selfish stuff melt away, leaving only pure, shining golden character behind. Section 2, powering up with stamina. So, if we're this purified gold hanging out safely behind a heavenly barrier, what happens next? Well, we move to our second, massive secret. True religion is actually an energy boost. It is not a boring, tiring chore that drains the life out of you. The text makes it incredibly clear that genuine religion doesn't have a narrowing influence. In fact, it says that a lack of religion is what actually cramps your abilities. Following God is designed to give you strength, literally unlocking potential you didn't even know you had.
Now, what's really interesting here is this word stamina. The text calls religion an active, working principle that furnishes you with stamina for the stern realities of life. Think of stamina kind of like your energy bar in a video game. When life gets tough, maybe you have a huge test at school, or someone is being unkind on the playground, or you're just feeling really frustrated, you need stamina so you don't just give up or lose your cool. This spiritual stamina gives you the working power to restrain, control, and perfectly balance your emotions and your intellect so you can handle absolutely anything life throws at you.
Divine authority over yourself. Oh, it gets even cooler. The text says that this religion has the power to persuade, entreat, and command with divine authority all of your abilities and affections. Imagine having a real-life power-up that gives you a master control switch over your own brain and heart. When you really want to yell in anger, or when you feel like being lazy instead of doing your chores, this divine authority helps you pause and make the right choice anyway. It means you aren't just reacting to things like a robot.
You are totally in control of yourself, powered up by heaven.
Number 3. Walking like Jesus. Of course, all this power and stamina isn't just for showing off, right? There is a very specific goal. As we connect ourselves with Christ, the text tells us, we make a solemn pledge to walk exactly as He walked. This is where the rubber meets the road. Having this protective barrier and this endless stamina means we are committing to using it the exact same way Jesus did. We are called to step out into the world and actively be a force for good, shining a light in places that seem kind of dark or confusing.
The source material uses a really cool phrase for this: heavenly extraction. Basically, it just means showing everyone where your stamina actually comes from. And as a 10-year-old, you reveal this in 3 huge ways. First, your manner. How do you treat your siblings or your parents? Are you polite and helpful? Second, your words. Do you encourage your friends on the playground, or do you join in when people are gossiping? Third, your character. What do you do when nobody is watching? By leveling up your manner, your words, and your character, you literally prove that God has called you out of darkness and into His marvelous light.
Daring to be right. So the crucial point is this powerful command from our text today. We are never to apologize to the world for being Christians and daring to be right. Sometimes doing the right thing means you're going to stand out. Maybe you refuse to cheat on a game. Or maybe you sit with the kid who is eating lunch all alone. People might look at you funny, but you never, ever have to say sorry for doing what is right. You have a heavenly protective barrier, you are filled with stamina, and you have the divine authority to make strong choices. Own it. Dare to be right. Part 4. The true prize, happiness. As we start to wrap up our journey today, we kind of have to ask, what is the ultimate reward for staying behind that heavenly barrier? What happens when you actually use your stamina to make those tough choices and dare to be right? Well, some people might think the reward is just being tired from working so hard at being good. But remember, God doesn't want you to be cramped or miserable. The ultimate prize isn't boredom. The true prize is something every single person on earth is secretly searching for.
Let's see how this all builds to an amazing conclusion perfectly captured by this quote directly from the text. Pure religion brings peace, happiness, contentment, godliness is profitable to this life and the life to come. Living this way, actually choosing the rules as your shield and using God's stamina brings absolute contentment. It means you can go to bed at night feeling peaceful and truly happy with who you are. And the very best part, it isn't just good for right now, it's profitable forever in this life and the life to come.
How will you use your new stamina today? We have covered a lot of incredible ground in this explainer. You now know that God's rules aren't cords tying you down. They're the walls of an epic fortress keeping you incredibly safe. You know that leaning into this gives you a serious energy boost, true stamina, to balance your emotions and dare to be right. So, my final question for you is this. How are you going to use your new stamina today? Who will you help? What tough choice will you make? And how will you show your heavenly extraction to the world? Get out there and use your superpower. Thanks so much for joining me and keep learning.